Okay, so tough call for Fumble of the Week this week, Samaria. It's like, do you go Rashid Rice for once again being in the headlines, this time for fighting a photographer in the club? Nah, not really, because you kind of expect that from Rashid Rice at this point, right? Do you go Drake for getting walked down by Kendrick Lamar in a way that hip hop has never before seen? On the deadest of homies, I think They Not Like Us is legitimately going to be Joe Biden's campaign trail song of choice. But nah, because truthfully, I expected Kendrick Lamar to come out victorious in their little squabble. However, what I did not expect was for a man as seemingly well thought out as Patrick Beverley appears to be at times on his podcast to go full Dennis Rodman and throw a ball at a female fan, for which Indiana police are now investigating him. Now, to make matters worse, he followed that up by disrespecting ESPN reporter Melinda Adams in a post-game locker room interview, telling her to get her microphone out of his face because she is not subscribed to his podcast. Listen, I have always enjoyed Pat Bev's antics because I've always respected what it took for him to make it to the league. Outside, of course, the playoffs back in 2021 when he shoved CP3, and then that time he took out Westbrook's knee in the playoffs back in 2013. But this particular, or these particular incidents rather, changed the way I view him. And I can't lie, I view him now as more of a risk. I mean, he risked potentially injuring a fan because she allegedly simply said 1, 2, 3 Cancun. And then his mistreatment of Melinda Williams is beyond risky because as athletes continue to expand their platforms outside of sports, they are going to not just want, but absolutely need for league approval on getting event access or even using video components to enhance their own productions. Not to mention, Samaria, the implications of players prioritizing their own content over the league's media partners. So, Pat Bev, you get the Fumble of the Week this week for simply doing too much and being a liability. Samaria, what are your thoughts?
Yes, I agree. I think all three of them, first off, I don't know what you all are doing this week, but I will say number one has to be Patrick Beverley.
No.
This is like a person that is just unraveling. To me, it seems like Pat Bev never had the career that he thought he should have had in the NBA. He told Steph Curry in 2019, y'all are done. I'm about to take over. He never took over. He's been from team to team to team to team. Nobody wants to deal with him. He's not productive. He's not doing anything. He's sitting on the bench. He was sitting on the bench when he had this altercation. And then on top of that, for you to disrespect a reporter, I've been a reporter for 9 years, been in these locker rooms. I understand that it's difficult when a team loses and you're emotional and you have these things that are going on in your head, whatever. But for you to say that a person can't interview you because they haven't subscribed to your whack podcast.
It's a good podcast. I ain't gonna let you. It's a good
whack.
podcast.
He is whack. He's
Yeah.
whack now.
I mean, listen.
You're
Go ahead.
done. His time in the NBA is over. You need to just go and focus on that podcast because that's all you have.
Wow, you think okay? You think these are things that are gonna get him kicked out of the NBA
Yeah, nobody's gonna
or
win.
blackballed? Wow,
You
that
just said that
okay.
he's a risk and he's a liability. Nobody wants. Yeah, he's done.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he definitely has the ability with these acts and actions to potentially mess up how Draymond Green moves in the podcast space, right? Like you have to understand the business of not just the NBA now, but also the business of your content. Just not well thought out, man. And this is a guy who's had to fight so much to get a shot to be in the league. I mean, he was basically playing basketball over in Siberia. Like he was nowhere, and he fought, and he fought for every inch for the opportunity to play in the NBA, and I respect that. But sometimes, man, our old selves show up when we're frustrated. I want to give him grace, to make a mistake and potentially come back from it. I think that he has shown a high level of contrition, but you're still gonna get the Fumble of the Week fan because you was tripping.
No, and I really hate that because, like you just mentioned, he does have this unconventional route to the NBA, and to see it kind of end this way is just kind of heartbreaking. But what was really funny is Draymond Green trying to check, trying to check Pat Bev, like, sir, you of all people need to keep your mouth closed. The message was great,
See,
but the
no.
messenger,
What do
the
y'all be what?
messenger
No.
was
What do y'all?
terrible.
What do y'all want? Do you want somebody who's been through like real life things and real life experiences to be the people to talk to people that are maybe exhibiting the same behaviors that got them in trouble, or do you want somebody with a completely clean jacket and slate who's never experienced any of those things, who may not have the emotional temperament as the people who are struggling to control their own emotions? I don't want to hear from somebody whose heart doesn't beat the same way as Pat Bev's. I do want to hear from Draymond Green. I do want Draymond Green to be the guy to help correct some of his behaviors because they have a similar wiring. So I disagree with you in that regard.
But how can you ask Draymond to do something that he's not doing himself?
It doesn't.
Draymond Green he's not bettering himself. I would see
Why?
if Draymond had a few rough patches and in the last 2 seasons he's been like a choir boy. He's not.
Okay,
He's
but
still putting up these antics. How can you then get on your podcast and try to check Pat Bev when you're still doing the same thing? And if the Warriors were still playing, Draymond would still be cutting up. He would still be doing random stuff to get
all
himself
right.
suspended.
Okay, listen, we can agree to
You know I'm
disagree.
right.
We can agree to disagree. Let us know your thoughts on our fumble of the week. Pat Bev, do you feel like it is deserving, or could I have gone, or should we have gone Drake or Rashee Rice? We appreciate it.